Wai's world crumbled in an instant. The joy of discovering Taesin was her own flesh and blood brutally snatched away by the night's dreadful events. She felt a hollow emptiness, a void where her heart should have been, as the realization set in that her son, her newly found son, was in the hands of someone with a vendetta. He paced the room like a caged animal, his mind racing with worst-case scenarios. The pain was etched deeply into his features, a stark reminder of the fierce love he bore for his son. How could this happen? He whispered, his voice barely audible over the sound of his own despair. Orchestrated this nightmare. Meanwhile, Jimin lay in a hospital bed, his body battered but his spirit unbroken. He had fought valiantly, a testament to his loyalty and courage, but the assassin had been too many and too determined. As he drifted in and out of consciousness, his thoughts were not for himself but for Taesin, the boy he had sworn to protect. United in their grief, but their resolve did not waver. They would move heaven and earth to bring Taesin back to heal the wounds that this night had inflicted upon their family. Sometimes later. Police officers stepped through the threshold. The air was heavy with the scent of betrayal. Only few hours ago, this very room had echoed with the revelation of Mrs. Lee's deception. Mr. Lee stood by the window, his figure casting a long shadow across the floor. His eyes filled with a mix of confusion and drawing realization met Wai's tearful gaze. He then whispered, his voice barely audible. I was here, Waikin, my child. I heard everything, but I didn't want to believe. Gaze was steady, his mind racing with the events that had unfolded just hours before. They had confronted Mrs. Lee right here in the living room where family portraits smiled down at them mockingly. She admitted to lying about Taesin. His voice steady despite the turmoil within. She was here, she confessed. Where is she now? The police officers began their search, their movements precise and deliberate. Wai's hands trembled as she recounted the harrowing truth to her father. Mom told us Taesin was stillborn, but it was a lie. She took him from us, from me. Wai's voice broke the pain of years of losing, pouring out. Mr. Lee sank into a chair, his face ashen. He then confessed, his eyes avoiding theirs. She was here, yes, but after your confrontation, she left in a hurry. I didn't know where she went or why. The house gave no secrets, no clues to Mrs. Lee's whereabouts or Taesin's. Stand beside Waiin, his presence a silent vow of unity in the face of their shared anguish. We will find him, Waiin. Taehyung promised, his voice firm, no matter what it takes. As the dark night crept in, the house seemed to hold its breath, waiting for a resolution that seemed just out of reach. Mr. Lee watched a divorced couple brought together by a common purpose, and felt a glimmer of hope. Taehyung. He's innocent, Mom. He's just a small child. Her eyes were red due to the crying. Mrs. Lee appeared at the window, her silhouette framed against the dim light inside. He took you away from me, Ryan. I lost my daughter because of him. It's only fair he experienced the same pain. But Taesin is your grandson, your daughter's flesh, the same daughter you were claiming to love so much. Ryan's voice cracked with emotion. How could you lie about him being stillborn? How could you keep him away from me? How could you give pain to your very same daughter whom you sought to love? You didn't even melt after seeing me become a mentally unstable, Mom. Mrs. Lee's voice was cold. Now he will know what it's like to lose a child. Isn't what normal thing to happen, Ryan's mom? See this in yourself. You too love Ryan more than anyone. She's always your first priority. Then why are you behaving like this? Why are you giving to your daughter whose single scratch on you couldn't bear? She should have chosen me then. Who told her to choose this piece of who always takes her away from me, always invade our personal times? You were sounding sick, Mrs. Lee. You were crossing the sacred bond between a mother and a child. You rascal! Him narrating how, because of him only, she was standing here. She completely got aware of her surroundings due to her rage. The night air was tense with anticipation as the police prepared to take charge. The house, once a symbol of familiar warmth, now stood as the fortress of secrets and lies. Inside, Taesin lay unconscious, a sleeping innocence amidst the chaos of adult. With a nod from Ryan, the signal was given. The police moved with precision, their training evident in the silent efficiency of their approach. The door was breached and they swept into the old house, their eyes scanning for any sign of the child. In the dimly lit room, they found him, Taesin, Ryan's world, lying peacefully in deep medicated slumber. Mrs. Lee stood defiantly, her anger a palpable force, but it was too much for the loss to grip. Brushed past his heart in his throat. There, in the soft glow of nightlight, lay his son. Gently lifting Taesin into his arms, he cradled the boy against his chest. His lips pressed a tender kiss onto the child's forehead, a silent prayer of thanks that he was unharmed. a faint. The scene cuts to black, leaving the image of a family on the brink of either collapse or revolt, their fate yet to be decided. One week later. In front of Taesin, his hands gently fixing the little one's jacket. The hospital's visiting hours were drawing near, and the air was thick with a mix of anticipation and the faint scent of spring blossoms from the open window. Begin, his voice a soft melody in the quiet of the room. Taesin, my little baby, do you remember Daisy, the lady we met last week? Taesin's eyes sparkled with recognition, nodding eagerly. Daisy, pretty, like mom's school photo. I like Daisy. A tender smile graced Taehyung's lips. Yes, she is very pretty, but she's not just pretty like your mom's school pic. Taesin, she is your mom. YN. The boy titled his head, confusion knitting his brows together. Mom, but you said mom was with the stars? Took a deep breath, the weight of the truth settling on his shoulders. I did, and I am sorry for that. I told you so because mom has been very sick, and I didn't want you to worry or to be wild around her. It was to keep her safe, to let her rest, but she is getting better and she wants to see you very much. Mom not gone? Taesin's voice was barely a whisper, a mix of hope and uncertainty. No, my love, she's not gone. She's been fighting a big battle and she's so strong, just like you, my love. Taehyung's fingers brushed against Taesin's cheeks, wiping away the hint of a tear. Would you like to see her today? We can go together or to the hospital. We will surprise her. Taesin nodded, a small smile breaking through. I be good for mom. I help mom fight battles. That's my brave boy. Standing up and holding out his hand. Let's go meet Daisy, your mom, YN. Hand in hand, father and son stepped out into the world ready to face it together, ready to bring back the missing piece of their family. Nodded. The weight of her regret of not raising Taesin up was palpable. As Wyan held Taesin close, the boys' laughter a balm to the wounds of the past. In that moment, there was a glimmer of hope, a chance for forgiveness, for a family torn apart to find their way back to each other.